All right, so I read this article and I had to talk about it. Hospitality industry policymakers, bartenders, restaurant owners, and honestly, anybody who enjoys going out with friends, we got to talk about this. Cambridge, Massachusetts has lost their mind. The city is actually considering a proposal that would require bars and restaurants to make guests wait 30 minutes before ordering another alcoholic beverage. 30 minutes. Now, before everybody starts screaming in the comments, let's talk through this because there's probably some legitimate concerns on both sides of this discussion. First, answer the obvious question. Why would anyone even consider a rule like this? I think the answer is probably pretty simple. Impaired driving is still a major problem in America. Alcohol related accidents, injuries, and fatalities continue to happen every single day. So cities are dealing with public intoxication, late night disturbances, and the cost that comes with alcohol abuse. And public health officials are still asking a fair question. Can slowing down alcohol consumption reduce alcohol related harm? Okay, conversation worth having. Nobody wants people getting hurt or impaired drivers on the road. Nobody wants the family getting that phone call in the middle of the night because somebody made a bad decision. Okay, those consequences and those concerns are real. I respect them. But respecting the goal and agreeing with the solution, or at least the proposed solution, are two completely different things. Because once you move from policy theory into actual hospitality operations, this starts to get really weird really fast. Let's talk just practical application. How exactly would this even work? Let's say I walk into a restaurant and I order an old fashioned. Does the bartender or the waiter start a timer? Do I get a text message when my 30 minutes is up so I can order a second? Do they hand me a little egg timer or digital timer to put on my table? What if I have a wine pairing and it goes with my dinner and we eat at a certain pace? What if I'm at a bourbon tasting? Or what if I'm sharing a bottle of wine with my wife over a 2 hour dinner? And what about bottle service in the different places? What about flights? What about breweries? Like all of that happens and people have to consider what about bar hopping? If people are going to look for a way around this, because unless Cambridge makes some plans on creating some sort of statewide alcohol tracking system, that's a whole nother conversation. How would anybody actually know? And how would you actually follow this? The more I think about it, it becomes even more ridiculous to enforce. And here's where I really struggle with this. Alcohol affects people differently. And so there's a ton of other factors to consider for intoxication: health, weight, hydration, and so many things else in here. So reducing his responsible levels is, by a simple stopwatch is crazy. Good bartenders and servers already assess the people and watch their behavior. They see whether somebody's getting loud, aggressive, unsteady, or impaired. And hospitality professionals have spent decades being trained on how to do exactly that. Responsible service training exists for a reason. Good operators cut people off every single day to protect not only the consumer, but their business. And it's good for business. And honestly, I worry that rules like this create unintended consequences. People may simply pregame harder, if you will, before going out, or they bar hop, or they'll sneak in their own flask. Or maybe they just simply decide that it's easier and cheaper to just drink at home and then go out. Meanwhile, restaurants and bars are already facing labor shortages, rising costs, inflation, insurance increases, and declining traffic. Now you're asking servers to become timekeepers too? Yeah, I don't know about this one. Hospitality businesses aren't just places that sell drinks, they're gathering places. They're first dates, celebrations, business meetings, community spaces where people engage with each other, and they're small businesses trying to survive. Again, I totally understand the public safety concerns. I support responsible consumption. I support getting everybody home safely. Rideshare options are a must. But I think we need to be asking whether this policy is not only practical but effective. Personally, I'd rather see more of an investment in better responsible service training, safe ride programs, and possibly even partnerships with local law enforcement to prevent these kind of incidents. Have them walk into a bar and help out the bartenders, have a communication system together with those, because I think everybody agrees on the goal: safe guests, safer communities. The disagreement is, I think, how we get there. So I'm curious, do you think a 30-minute wait between drinks will improve public safety, or does it simply create another regulation that sounds good on paper and falls apart in the real world? I'm interested in your thoughts. Drop them in the comments, share what you think, because whether you support this proposal or oppose it, hospitality professionals deserve a seat at the table in this conversation. And I'd love to hear what you think about it. So, anyway, that's today's thought and the intersection of hospitality and public policy and hopefully common sense. So, like, follow, subscribe, share your comments. And if you choose to drink, please do it responsibly. Make sure everyone gets home safely because we want to see you back.